The Hyundai Kona was launched in South Africa a couple of years ago, and about a year ago they launched an update on the Kona. You can see it's got this very bold Hyundai grille over here and the deep front spoiler. It's got those sort of cues, and then of course what it has got is the daytime running lights up top over here, and you've got your LED headlights you can see over there. Very neat, nice scoops, things like that. Now, being a crossover SUV, you would expect, of course, the cladding over the wheel arches and down the bottom of the car, etc. You expect these features very much so. You've got 17-inch mag wheels on this model. It does go up to 18s on the turbo version, but 17s are perfectly comfortable, perfectly nice, and I find them fine in that respect. It's what I describe as a crossover SUV coupe, because you'll notice it is a little bit sloped at the rear end. You'll see the back seat in a few moments. There is a little bit of a compromise there. It also does give you a pretty wide C-pillar over here. You can see with the integrated black over here as well, and a big spoiler over the rear hatch. But when you come round to the rear, again you'll see the two levels of lights on the tail, which look very smart, very neat, and they certainly give a good impression. And again, the skid plate spoiler effect down at the bottom over there. You've got rear park distance control, you've got a rear camera, you've got all those sort of features as well. You pop open the boot, and something I really do like for a change is note the level load floor. No high load lip to lift over to do things like that. So that is a very useful, nice feature. You do have a little tray underneath there, and unfortunately a space saver spare wheel. But at least it's got a spare wheel, I suppose, so I mustn't complain too much. Also got a very neat net fitted over there in the boot area, which is a good feature as well. Your rear seats are split 2/3, 1/3, which you would expect as well, so you can drop them down if you're not carrying passengers. And note, you do have two ISOFIX fittings there as well, so it is ready for the kids as well. Overall, it's a neat looking car. But now let's take a look inside and let's see what it's going to be like in the rear seat, which, as I mentioned to you, could be a touch compromised. As always, the driver's seat is set for myself, so let's see what legroom is like, etc. The legroom is reasonable. I wouldn't say it's massive. Now here is where it could be a matter of form over function. With my hat on, I can only just clear headroom in the rear seat. So taller adults' rear seat could be a touch cramped. They really could. But this is what you are getting when you want a car that looks good and has the looks, but maybe compromises a touch. You do have a USB over here for the back seat as well, which is a nice extra feature. So let's check it out on the road and see how it goes. On the road, the car is smooth, it's comfortable, it goes nicely, it handles nicely. So it's got all the features I would want, besides the fact that I'm trying to stop the navigation working and it doesn't want to, so it's going to interrupt me occasionally. But let's ignore that for now. But it is smooth. The gear shift, as I said, is really unobtrusive. You don't feel the shifts. The IVT, intelligent variable transmission, that Hyundai use is really usable in real life and in general driving, general living. It really is. So I've got no problem with that at all. So let's just try and kill that and see if I can get it to stop making a noise completely. But now the factor of the car is one thing I have noticed, and I noticed it far more on a freeway, is there is a bit of a wind noise or some kind of noise that does intrude on the cabin when you're cruising. And I did find that a touch irritating at certain times when I was driving. So I've got to just keep that in mind and mention that was about the only thing I could find that I didn't particularly like on the car was, as I say, at freeway speeds, there was just that extra noise that I'm not used to that did affect driving a little bit, but it's a minor point, overridden totally and overshadowed totally by the pure comfort and just the general driving comfort, responsiveness. It can certainly react and overtake very easily, and if you are on the highway and you want to overtake, it'll do it with ease. You don't feel the kick down of gears, you don't feel any of that. It just does it nice and smoothly. And I think my point being, this car goes about its business comfortably, easily, and in a very, very relaxed manner. Coming in behind the wheel, as we always do, you've got the digital instrumentation. It's basic, but it's certainly more than enough. But the crucial figures, of course. We've done 550 kilometers already on this test. There's still 167 k's in the tank. But look at that, 6.8 liters per 100. Now, that's not bad for a 2-liter automatic. I'm quite happy with that. Hyundai give a figure of 6.5. But remember, also take into account that basically we didn't do an open road trip like we normally do on this car. It's been urban and a bit of freeway, and that's all. So it's a pretty good figure. I can just scroll through. You'll see, of course, you've got your tire pressure monitor, which is very important. You've got your user settings, driver assistance. You've got all of these that you've got available that you'd expect from any medium to upper level car these days. You've got your multifunction steering wheel, which includes cruise control, so that's good. I've got no complaints there. And of course, you've got your sound system. You've got your voice activation, which works sometimes, but I won't say is the greatest voice activation I've ever come across. I did notice it being a little bit hesitant to pick up phone names when I wanted to make some calls. But anyway, and you do have auto on headlights, which is a good feature, and I do like that very, very much. On your driver's door over here, you've got all your controls, your mirrors, your door locking, which does lock automatically on pull-off. Thank you for that, Hyundai. I always find that important, so I will mention that one. And you do have a heel hold assist function as well. Let's come over to the center screen now. And I want to point out something to you that this car has that I am very impressed by. It has wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, and I've been very impressed by that. I linked my phone, it linked easily, quickly, that was fine, and all you do is press the button there. Now, I'm not going to do it, but press the button, gives you Android or gives you map or whatever you want on the screen. Interestingly, Hyundai do not give you the full color screen on this car, but it does give you what you need, and that's important. And you do get a reverse camera as well. So that's another important feature as far as I'm concerned, and something that some competitors are missing, and it's pretty strange. So let's go down now, down the center stack while we're here. You've got your, as they call it, automatic air conditioning, so you can set temperature. You see we've got it on low right now. You come down below that, you've got buttons over here for, of course, aircon, ventilation, etc., etc. Then below that, you've got a spot here. You can put your phone if you want. You've got USBs, you've got a USB-C over there, you've got a 12-volt over there, and look here, you've got an inductive charging pad as well. So that is really a nice feature as far as I'm concerned. You've got your gear shift over here. Now, interesting, on the 2-liter model, you get what Hyundai call their IVT, Intelligent Variable Transmission. It's a version of a CVT, but it's really an efficient one. And I've got to say, I found no hardship with driving this car with a CVT, which most people get so upset about. But I'm quite happy with this. It's smooth, it's comfortable. I've certainly had no issues. Then you've got the button over here, which when you press, I'm going to actually just move back up to the center screen to the instrumentation in front of the driver. Because when you press on there, you can choose between traction. You see you've got traction or drive. And you've got multi-mode. You've got Eco, Comfort, Sport, and Smart. Now, Smart is where the intelligent comes in with the transmission. And what it does is it gives you where the car reads your driving style and will adjust the shift pattern to suit your driving style. I tried it in sport once or twice and I found it okay, but really not important to me, so I didn't bother that much with it. So I just left it there, and quite honestly, I've left it in smart, works perfectly well, and certainly been very livable as far as I'm concerned in smart mode. Now this model, it's the entry model in the range, but it's certainly not an entry-level car. You can see we've got full leather trim, we've got cruise control, we've got auto air conditioning, we've got inductive charging, we've got wireless, as I said, Android Auto, all these sort of features, but it is the entry model in the Kona range. And it comes with a 2-liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder engine, 110 kilowatts, 180 Newton meters of torque. Again, I've certainly not found it lacking in any means whatsoever. Now, if you really want to race and want a racing car, get the upper models, which of course have that 1.6-liter turbo, which jumps the numbers to 146 kilowatts and 265 Newton meters if you want, and in the same executive spec as this one is. So in other words, everything else is pretty much the same, barring the engine and a 7-speed dual clutch automatic instead of the IVT. You'll pay 40,000 Rand more. Always a question only you can answer. I can't comment on that. I really can't. Because this one comes in at 464,500. You're looking at 504,900 for the, as I said, the exec with the 1.6 turbo engine. But it's beautifully finished, nicely fitted. You've got 6 airbags. You've got all the spec you want. You don't have a lot of driving controls, but I don't think that's important. You do have that little warning when you turn off the car and open the driver's door to check the back seat. Whether it's for a baby or whether it's for your mother-in-law, you can choose which one you want to be sure they've got out the back of the car, but it is there for you. And interestingly, in today's world, you've got old-fashioned handbrake and not an electronic parking brake. Again, I don't think that's important, but just differences I want to mention to you. Remembering, you do, of course, get Hyundai's 7-year, 200,000 kilometer warranty as well included. So it's an important feature too. Always up to you. The competitors in this particular little segment, because this is the crossover SUV coupe, I'm going to call it. You'll have seen the lines are a little bit sharper down the rear. The rear end is slightly compromised in some ways, but in the interest of style. So you have that. So you've got the Mazda CX-3 and the Toyota CHR as your direct competition. And interestingly, the CX-3 is only available with a 2-liter naturally aspirated engine, exactly like this one. And of course, the CHR is only available with a turbo, like the 1.6 turbo version, or that's a 1.2, but that's not my point I'm making. But those are the opposition in this category. And this one, in my book, certainly is up there with any of those. So really, you need to drive them all, see what you think, and make your choices for yourself. For Motor Matters, I'm Eleanor. I'll see you next time.